Masked men kick down the door. Machetes drawn. They have 60 seconds to steal £250,000 in drugs from Birmingham's most dangerous gang. But they just made the biggest mistake of their lives. What police found buried in Sparkhill Park 3 hours later would expose an empire and send 9 men to prison for 77 years. May 22, 2021. Sparkhill, Birmingham. Families settling in on Saturday night. But unmarked police cars had already been watching Oakwood Road for weeks. They just didn't know what they were about to witness. 2 cars. An Audi and a BMW glide through darkness like predators. Inside, masked figures, machetes, a shotgun. Their target? A house that neighbors thought looked perfectly ordinary. What happened in the next 60 seconds would expose a £250,000 empire and send 9 men to prison for 77 years combined. But the neighbors had no idea that ordinary house was actually the nerve center feeding addiction across Birmingham through 6 separate drug lines. Hit that like button now, because you're about to see how one act of violence cracked open the most sophisticated drug network West Midlands Police had ever seen. The attack itself lasted mere minutes, but it would take months to unravel everything it exposed. The masked men didn't hesitate. They kicked down the front door like they owned the place and stormed inside. Their target was Mohammed Ishaq. He never saw them coming. Picture the scene. Ishaq is there, calmly preparing drugs for distribution. Weighing, measuring, packaging. This was routine for him. Business as usual. Then suddenly, the door explodes inward. Armed figures pour through like something out of an action movie. Within seconds, Ishaq is slashed across the arm with a machete. Deep. Bloody. Deliberate. But here's the thing that makes this story absolutely incredible. This wasn't random violence. This was business. Cold, calculated business. The attackers grabbed everything they could, bags of heroin, crack cocaine, all bundled and ready to hit the streets. We're talking over £226,000 worth of pure product. But then they made the mistake that would bring down not just them, but an entire criminal network. Instead of disappearing into the night like professionals, they panicked. They drove just around the corner to Sparkhill Park and did something that would haunt them forever. They buried the evidence. But we'll come back to that in a moment, because first I need to tell you about the mastermind behind all of this. The man who built an empire so sophisticated, it operated like a legitimate business. And if you're wondering how deep this rabbit hole goes, trust me, we've barely scratched the surface. Make sure you're subscribed because this gets absolutely insane. When police arrived that night, they thought they were dealing with a simple robbery gone wrong. What they actually discovered was a fully operational drug headquarters. Digital scales. Cutting agents. Packaging materials. Everything for industrial scale distribution. But while they're cataloging this evidence, Khan is already circling the park in his BMW, making the desperate move that will destroy them all. The man at the top is Mohammed Imran Khan. He had been running this like McDonald's. 6 separate drug lines, each with dedicated phones, customer bases and delivery systems. 3 for £25. While you got pizza deals, hundreds got heroin specials. 8 separate seizures between 2020 to 2021. Kilos at a time. High-tier supply feeding the entire city. And that buried evidence Khan was hunting for? It's about to hand police everything. What those panicked robbers left behind in Sparkhill Park wasn't just drugs. It was a forensic goldmine that would unravel years of careful planning. Officers searching the undergrowth found a distinctive mixing bowl, still caked in brown heroin residue. Nearby, plastic wraps. A stash bag. And, this is crucial, a padded gilet that had been used to cushion the drugs. That gilet? It contained traces of DNA and fiber evidence linking it directly to Mohammed Hamza, one of the men captured on CCTV fleeing the scene. But the evidence trail was just getting started. CCTV footage showed Keem Aslam Khan leaving the Oakwood Road property carrying a bin bag. That exact bag was later found to contain the mixing bowl discovered in the park. A direct link between the stash house and the burial site. And here's where you can see the desperation setting in. Mohammed Imran Khan, the mastermind himself, was captured on CCTV driving his BMW around Spark Hill Park repeatedly that same night. Circling like a shark. Mobile phone data confirmed his movements. He was hunting for something he couldn't afford to lose. But wait, it gets even better. When police raided Khan's address, they found something that perfectly encapsulates the arrogance of this entire operation. A stamp. Not money, not drugs, a stamp displaying their dedicated phone line and opening hours. They were literally branding their criminal enterprise like it was a legitimate business. And if you think that's crazy, wait until you hear about the raids that brought them all down. But first, if this story is keeping you hooked, smash that subscribe button. I promise this gets even more incredible. By October 2021, West Midlands Police had seen enough. They'd spent months mapping out this network, understanding the hierarchy, tracking the movements. They knew exactly who was in charge and how the entire operation functioned. Time to strike. October 20th, dawn. Operation launched with military precision. Simultaneous raids across Birmingham, Bordesley Green, Saltley, Kings Heath and Spark Hill. Front doors battered down, suspects pulled from their beds before they even knew what was happening. The gang's illusion of control? Gone in minutes. And the evidence they recovered was absolutely damning. Mobile phones still active and linked to the drug lines. Bulk text messages to users. Location data. Conversations about supply runs and pickups. Clothing matching the CCTV footage from the park. But here's what really shows you the scale of this operation. In multiple addresses, detectives didn't just find drugs. They found complete working setups, mixing agents, scales, cutting tools, razor blades. Everything laid out and ready for the next batch. This wasn't hidden, it was organized like a production line. The full picture finally emerged. Mohammed Imran Khan at the top, coordinating everything. Mohammed Ishaq and Keem Aslam Khan overseeing preparation. Sohail Hussain captured leaving the house with both a machete and cocaine. Others handling logistics, concealment, communication. A pyramid of power built over years, collapsed overnight under the weight of hard evidence and relentless policing. But the story doesn't end there. Because when this went to trial, the sentences handed down sent shockwaves through Birmingham's criminal underworld. And I'll tell you exactly why in just a moment. Remember Khan circling the park in his BMW that night like a shark? That wasn't strategy, that was psychology failing in real time. What made this network untouchable for years was psychological manipulation on an industrial scale. Those bulk texts, 3 for £25, weren't random. They were using the same addiction triggers as gambling apps and social media. 6 separate lines? Pure criminal psychology. If one got compromised, the others survived. Compartmentalize the same strategy used by intelligence agencies. But here's where their psychology became their downfall. Success bred fatal arrogance. That stamp with opening hours? The photo of a shack posing with drug bowls and cash? They started believing they were legitimate businessmen instead of criminals. And when that rival gang struck, instead of disappearing like professionals, they panicked. Emotional decisions. Amateur moves. Khan circling that park wasn't criminal mastermind behavior, it was desperation. And desperation leaves forensic trails that lead straight to prison cells. This psychological breakdown is exactly why 77 years of sentences were handed down. But there's one final twist about this case that changes everything. January 2025. Birmingham Crown Court. After a grueling 13-week trial, The jury delivered their unanimous verdict. All 9 defendants, guilty of conspiracy to supply heroin and cocaine. The prosecution's case was built on a mountain of evidence. Hours of CCTV footage. Thousands of lines of call data. But what truly sealed their fate was that physical trail of arrogance they'd left behind. The bin bag in the park. The distinctive mixing bowl. The clothing fibers. The phones with their bulk texts and customer lists. Every piece told the same story. And when the sentences came down, the court showed no mercy. Mohammed Imran Khan, the ringleader, 14 years and 2 months. The court recognized him as the brains behind the entire operation. Keem Aslam Khan, 13 years and 3 months. That CCTV footage of him carrying the bin bag sealed his fate. Mohammed Ishaq, the man slashed in the original attack, 10 years and 2 months. Even being a victim didn't excuse his role in the network. Sohail Hussain, caught with both machete and narcotics, 9 years and 9 months. The others received substantial terms ranging from 7 to 9 years each. Total, more than 77 years behind bars. The judge's words echoed through the courtroom. This wasn't just a drug operation. This was organized criminality on a citywide scale. Detective Sergeant Danny Wilson, who led the investigation, didn't mince words. This was a gang trading in human misery. They exploited the vulnerable and fueled a violent trade that tears through communities. But here's what the court never heard. What the newspapers never reported. The twist that changes everything about this case. Those rival gang members who started it all? The ones with machetes who stormed Oakwood Road that night? They were never caught. Think about that. 9 men got 77 years combined for running the network. But the gang who exposed them by stealing $250,000 in drugs? They vanished into Birmingham's underworld and were never seen again. Police recovered the stash from the park, but those original robbers? Gone. Like ghosts. Some detectives whisper they might have been working for a bigger operation. Others think they fled the country. And here's the truly chilling part, that stolen heroin and crack was replaced within weeks. New supply lines. New dealers. Same addiction, different faces. The empire fell, but the demand never stopped. And somewhere in Birmingham tonight, those masked men who started it all are still out there. This is why this case is about so much more than just 9 men going to prison. This case exposed something terrifying about modern organized crime. It's not dramatic shootouts, it's suburban houses with business hours. For Spark Hill residents, this was chilling validation. Strange traffic, suspicious packages, occasional violence. The quiet house had been headquarters for a business built on addiction. But remember those masked men who started it all? The ones still out there? Some detectives believe they are watching. Waiting. That $250,000 theft wasn't random, it was reconnaissance. Testing defenses. And here's what keeps investigators awake at night. The recovered stash was replaced within weeks. New supply lines. New dealers. Same streets, same addiction, different faces. Operation Target dismantled one empire, but those original robbers? They proved how vulnerable any network really is. One violent night, and years of careful planning collapsed. Somewhere in Birmingham tonight, they're still out there. Still armed. Still planning. The 9 men got 77 years combined. But the gang who exposed them? They vanished like ghosts, carrying the blueprint for bringing down any drug empire. And that terrifying knowledge is still walking Birmingham's streets. What can we learn from the rise and fall of the Spark Hill drug empire? First, modern organized crime isn't what most people imagine. It's not dramatic shootouts and exotic locations. It's mundane, systematic, and hidden in plain sight. A suburban house. Text message marketing. Opening hours. Second, technology is a double-edged sword for criminals. Those phones that made their operation so efficient? They also created a digital trail that led straight to prison cells. Third, arrogance kills more criminal careers than police work. The moment they started posing for photos with drugs and cash, the moment they printed business cards, they stopped being ghosts and became targets. But perhaps most importantly, this case shows that no one is truly untouchable. Not when you're dealing with the human cost of addiction, violence, and community destruction. 9 men thought they'd built an empire. Instead, they built their own prison cells, one text message, one CCTV frame, one piece of forensic evidence at a time. The mixing bowl buried in Spark Hill Park. The gilet with traces of DNA. The bin bag carried on CCTV. A stamp displaying opening hours for a heroin delivery service. It ended how these stories often do, with long sentences, broken trust, and the slow echo of a criminal empire brought to its knees. So there you have it, the complete story of how one violent robbery exposed Birmingham's most sophisticated drug network. From a quiet Saturday night in Spark Hill to 77 years of combined prison sentences. If this deep dive into UK true crime kept you hooked for the last 24 minutes, I think you'll love the other cases I've covered on this channel. From the psychology of criminal masterminds to the forensic breakthroughs that bring them down, we go deep into the stories that shaped modern British crime. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a case. And if you know someone who loves true crime as much as you do, share this video with them. Stories like this deserve to be heard, and your support helps me keep bringing them to light. Next week, I'm diving into another Birmingham case that's even more shocking than this one. A seemingly perfect family man living a double life that fooled everyone, including his own wife, for over a decade. Until one phone call changed everything. Let me know in the comments, what shocked you most about the Spark Hill case? The scale of the operation? The arrogance of the gang? Or the way it all unraveled from a single robbery? I read every comment and love hearing your thoughts on these cases. Until next time, stay safe, and remember, in the world of true crime, nobody stays untouchable forever.